Don't know what happened there, but I'm having to come back to this. Alright, 1/4 inch. Take these 2 pedestal bolts out. And then we can pop out what would be the points plate if it had points on it, but obviously somebody's stolen them off here, but that would just come off like that with your points. The next thing we can pull off then is the actual cover itself. Now there is an actual bushing that goes inside here, and the Kickstart tends to damage the end of the shaft a little bit, so as you can see here, it wouldn't come off clear. It pulled the bushing out of the cover. We'll get that off later. So take the spring off. And then that will come off, but we'll leave it in for the moment because it has the bearing for the shaft inside. So we'll go to this next. Alright, this is your advanced retard, which has these little bob weights which will turn the cam when they swing out. So as the engine speeds up, they get thrown outwards and they turn the cam and advance the timing. And then when the engine slows down, the 2 little springs pull them back in and it goes back to there. The little springs can wear and lose their pull so that the bob weights don't go in and out properly, or the bob weights themselves can sometimes get seized onto their shafts, and then what happens is the engine will start nicely but it won't rev up, because as you get the revs, the bob weights don't come out, they don't advance the timing, and you don't get the increase in power. So what we're going to do is pull this off. The whole thing comes off with its backing plate. This bolt generally isn't in that tightly. A good jog will, there we are, will normally get it off. So that comes off. Now to get this off, it's on a taper, so we need a tool to pull it off. You can buy one or you can make one. It's a slide hammer with a threaded end that will screw into the centre of this where there's a thread. Now, just as a point of interest, when I make slide hammers, what I've actually done is I've only made one weight, and all the slide hammers I make with a threaded end so I can put a nut on. And that way I just swap the weights over from whichever tool it needs to be on. So that screws into there. And then we give it a pop and off it comes. Simple as that. Next thing is the Kickstart mechanism. This should have a locking tab washer on it, but it hasn't, and no, yeah, I think this engine's been worked on before. I got a bunch of stuff, bikes and engines, a few years ago, and this is one I hadn't looked at. So the nut comes off, then as I said there should be a locking washer, then this 2-part thing here comes off, which is your Kickstart mechanism with a sort of slip gears there. Then they are on a bushing, and then there's a spring behind them. So the next thing we're going to do is take these screws out and take the case off. And one thing to notice here is it looks as if that's the case, but it's not. That's not the entire case. It actually, there's a rear part to it that goes lower down, and there are 2 screws in that. So you've got to make sure you get those. Hold on, there's somebody at the door. Let me just go and see to them. Back again. Nothing important. Right, what have we got here? Somebody's put Allens in, very nice. Now one wonders, are we going to have some oil in the gearbox? Did I remember to take the plug out and drain it or not? Tell you what we can do. Doesn't seem to be any in there. Can you see that? It's just brought out a great glob of stuff. It's a good job, I think, that we're completely rebuilding this motor. I've got a feeling there's going to be a few parts that might need replacing. Now I'm used to these screws, but if you're taking these cases off for the first time, any of the cases, you'll notice that sometimes the screws are different lengths. Now you can lay them out in the same pattern as they come off if you're going to put the thing straight back on. Or what you can do is as simple as this. Get yourself a piece of cardboard, make a little drawing on it and punch holes where they should be. And then as you take them out, stick them in the holes, and they're all in position so you know which one goes where afterwards. Now, as I say, there are two down here. Now when we take this cover off, the whole gearbox internals with the gear change and everything will come out in one piece, which is really nice. Certainly it's a lot better idea than the Triumph Twins, where I don't know if you've ever worked on one, but you look in the manual and it has a little drawing of a man's hands holding the entire gearbox internals together, and you're supposed to slide them in like that. Well, this man must have hands about 2 inches long, because I've never been able to do it. Never yet been able to put the internals in one piece. I have to lay it on its side and very carefully put them in a bit at a time, and then they do slip in. Right, let's have a look. Got that out. Oh, this is one actually. Got that out, that out, that out, that out. The two underneath. And this one is easy to forget. It's actually the little knob for the kickstart spring to go on. And it's not 1/4 inch. It's something strange, like 11/30. Is that it? 11/30? Yes. But as you see, it's a long one that goes in and acts as a case bolt. So, Michael, have you got them all out? Have you remembered everything? We'll find out. There we go. Pop. It'll jump off a little bit because, as you'll see, there's a spring at the back end to hold the gear change mechanism in position. And there you have it. Camshafts come out with it, which again isn't a problem today, but generally you put your finger on that to hold it in so that the cam followers don't fall down. And of course it keeps your valve timing right. But as I say, this is really nice. It all comes out in one, so you don't have to worry about it. We'll do a separate little bit on the gearbox. So let me put that out of the way. Did you hear that? That was gears falling off. But I think that should have come out with the other one. Everything's so stuck together with this gunge that things that would normally come out in one don't. Top gear stays in because it's actually into the bearing. That bearing's really warm because that shouldn't be as loose as that. Oh, so that's come out as well. So that's the whole the gearbox internals in there. And as I say, there's the spring at the back. That's to keep the gear change mechanism, the actual plate, under tension so it doesn't just flop around. But we are going to change the gear ratios in this. I managed to chase around all over around the UK and the US and managed to find a set of B40 War Department internals, which are the trials internals, and will fit on these Victor shafts. So let me put these with the other ones. Now we are down to camshaft, the pinion on the end of the crankshaft, and the oil pump. And here you can see the oil lines. So we could do with another little box to put these in, but as I don't have one at the minute, let's see. Oh yes, I do. Alright. So out comes the cam wheel with its shaft on the back. Now these, there's the front one, there's the rear one, going in a particular way. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a pad on the bottom which is the hardened material, and it's narrower at the back than it is at the front. And you'll see the difference in the shape of these. They go with this thicker piece to the front. And if you're going to use the same cam followers and put them back in, what we'll do is we'll scribe a couple of little marks on them so we know which was the exhaust one, which is the inside one, and which is the inlet one, which is the outside. So let me just put them to one side in exactly the right place. Now then, here we go. Another lock washer. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Now I have to use this one. So we'll open up this lock washer. And lock washers are cheap, so please use new lock washers on everything. Now then, let's see, can we... That's still got the nut. Clutch nut, so that goes in the clutch. Nope, that's a different size. Slightly bigger, so let's see. Yep. There we go. Safety glasses on. Nut, lock washer. Now this is going to have to be pulled off here, so we'll have to get our little special puller to get that off. Actually a puller for something on a car, but I made it up for doing drive pinions. And basically I just ground the ends so they're really thin and small, and it does fit in for this one as well, with a little bit of jiggling. this is on a key weight. It's not that hard to pull off, so this one works nicely. See, there's very little space to get the jaws of any kind of puller in. I'm not quite sure exactly what the proper puller looks like, but this one just nicely fits in and I can just get it in there. So if it works, it works. Okay. So now we're going to take the oil pump off, and then we can get in, take this out of the stand, we'll split the crankcases, take the crank out, and that is the strip down complete. Size there. Have a good soak in the bath tonight. Apart from anything else, I've got a smell of old oil. If I had smell-o vision, you would be aware of it. This engine really hasn't been used for a long time. I actually bought an old chap down in Florida. He had a collection of bikes. He'd been collecting them for 30 years. And I bought a whole pile, I think 12 or 13 singles off him. B25s, one B40, some B44s, a couple of B50s. And some of them he filled up with this stuff which he thought was a wonderful preservative. And God knows it was a mixture of grease and all sorts of things, but it was horrible. Right, let's take the key out. Things are vanishing. You people aren't moving them, are you? There's a key in here. Come on. Which doesn't want to come out. What's with all the keys in this? Phew! Where's that bigger screwdriver? Now I'm sure this is something you've all experienced. You put something down and it just simply vanishes. Oh, I heard something fall on the floor earlier. There it is! My God. Come on, you little tinker. This one does not want to move. Holy smokes. Let's see if we can make the back drop down so the front will pop up. Excuse me again. My God. There we go. It's popped up. Let's try that actually there, because it might have to. Gee whiz. Well, this is one key we won't be reusing. Okay. We should be able to walk you off here. Why are you so tight? No, I really could apply any leverage to this. I've never had one be like this. But of course it's guaranteed that when I'm trying to film it and look as if I know what I'm doing, then something will go wrong. That broke it free. So you can generally walk these off using the worm gear. This one doesn't want to. There it goes. Again, stuck on gaskets. Alright, there we go. Pop that in there. Next step is to move this stuff around, take it out of here to give us some more space, and we'll split the cases.